reliable. I feel like
It's
if you're taking an LVN retest, like, yeah, the probability will be bigger if it's at a key level or whatever, but I still feel like you're just picking a random spot.
that's the whole thing I'm getting at right now. Like, for example, on Friday, the trade you took, do you get why that reclaim of yesterday's low was valid?
What
Like,
do
do
you
you
mean?
understand why the movement kept going after breaking above yesterday's low?
Because we're in an uptrend?
That is a valid reason. But my whole thing is like when I first started, the whole reason why I wanted to learn supply and demand or order flow was because I wanted to move with the institutions. And that's how Carmine like initially had broke it down when I first found him. And then I just started seeing him taking trades like the ones where it's like a pop off demand and then he finds a level and he takes it from there to his target or whatever. And I feel like that seeing him do that made me start wanting to take those similar trades. But the foundation of to why I even started following him was because of how he talks about how you want to move with the institutions. So that's I started like trying to figure that out with ChatGPT, and then that's when it broke down to me to only focus on the 4 hour, the 2 hour, the 90 minute, and the 45 minute, and stop focusing on the 3 hours and the 1 hour demands because institutions don't usually trade around 1 hour demands or 3 hour demands. So then this whole
Yeah.
week, I've been trying to like uh see what it means by
Wait,
not
why don't they trade 1 hour and 3 hour demands?
because they don't if you look at the structure, even if you look at your 3 hour demand on last Friday, the like if you look at your chart and you look at where your 3 hour demand is, it's like in no man's land almost. Compared to where let me just share my screen. Hold up. I lost my Discord. Ah fuck, here we go.
The 6268 demand?
Hold up, I'm not looking at it right now. Share this window. Yes. Can you guys see my chart?
You see
Okay.
Discord?
Discord.
No way. What the fuck?
If it's different on the app, like when you share,
Yeah.
you just have to click on entire share entire screen.
It's just the buttons are in different places, so I don't even know where entire screen is. Oh, there it is.
And I don't know if there's an echo right now. Oh no, it went
There
away.
you go.
Now, okay. So this is I was just like practicing with this here. But look at how. Let me just remove this one for now. So this is I'm on the 4 hour right now, and, and it's not more than the hour of the zone. So like if you look at the time frame on a 3 hour compared to a 4 hour or a 90 minute or a 45 minute, the 4 hour, the 2 hour, the 90 minute, and the 45 minute, the structure is always a lot cleaner. So here you can see the 4 hour. You can obviously see there's consolidation here. The 4 hour lines up with somewhat of the top of this consolidation. And then it's kind of a big zone, but there's a 90 minute inside of the 4 hour. And then this is a 4 hour also with this base candle here. And then if you go to the 3 hour, where's that 3 hour at? Was it this one?
6268.5.
62, 68.
0.5.
So This
Real.
this one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
see how like this one, it's kind of like in a sloppy zone here. Like as far as structure wise, like yeah, it has a large takeoff, but the actual structure of it is more down here where the 4 hour was. So the reason ChatGPT said not to use 3 hours is because you're gonna end up with zones like this where you mark it, and yeah, it might work for a quick little bounce, but for the larger move, you're you're really gonna want that 4 hour that's under us here, this 4 hour right here. So it said to avoid getting yourself like almost discombobulated with all these lines that you have, just focus on the structure of the market more than anything. So if you go down to the 2 hour,
so it just wants you to play the demands and supply zones and the extremes of the consolidations.
exactly, because then once you can master those zones and mastering taking trades in those areas, then your mind will start to develop like okay, we're bouncing off a clear uh edge, or like the edges, we're bouncing off a clear edge here. So now you can clearly see where the market wants to go, but you have to master knowing how to view these zones here, because if you just see a 3 hour here and you're like, I'm gonna just take it because it's bouncing off a 3 hour without truly understanding what the structure is doing, now you're just kind of hoping that this 3 hour demand is going to be a clean zone, rather than, okay, let me just wait for this exact zone that I know has is a edge point where my probabilities are a lot higher than just gambling on this 3 hour. And
So
that's
does it
exact.
so
What?
does it say that 3 hour, 1 hour are usually middle consolidation? Because I don't see why a 3 hour or 1 hour can't be the extreme of the consolidation. Why it can't be the edge?
It
Is it
says
never
it
like that?
says it says for the most part, if a 3 hour is at the edge, then you're most likely going to see a 2 hour or a 4 hour there as well. So there's no point in
Oh,
even focusing on the 3 hour.
I have noticed that, dude.
Yeah, me too. That like it was like my mind just got blown when I had read that. I was like, "Oh shit, yes, I've seen that."
So when it
That
comes
makes
to
sense.
writing your plan, your pre-market plan, I guess that makes more sense to me now. Where I'm like, before it was like I'm just gonna wait for it to hit any zone that I have charted. Where now you're kind of telling me it makes more sense to for sure attempt to see what happens at the two, the four, the 90 or the
Exact, dude,
45.
that's exactly what my issue was. I would write down a 15-minute zone. I would write down a 45-minute zone. I would write down a 30-minute zone. And then I end up with all these key levels. And I'm like, fuck, now I just have to wait and see order flow at this key level and hope that I'm reading order flow correctly. Rather than like on Friday, uh, if you see
I
here,
I had that problem too, but I was using two like felony. He said he talked about that too. He's like he always gives himself two key zones, two key supply or key demand zones to avoid like getting too many key zones. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like if it goes through the first one, then you can invalidate that one and then go to the second plan. That was his
Yeah, but
thing.
then if you have a 3 hour, if like say you're charting and you have a 3 hour, a 1 hour, and a 90 minute, or a 4 hour, or a 2 hour, now you have three zones that you're like, okay, which one is the first one that I want to pay
Oh, you mean just the picking process itself? Like,
attention to? And say there's a 3 hour right, and then what?
dude, hey,
What'd you
you're
say?
cutting off like crazy.
Yeah, I think it's messing up because you just responded to something he said a second, like a while ago.
Oh, I don't know
Your
what's
audio's a
happening.
little like laggy, in and out.
Let me change to the browser because the This
And
one
your chart looks like it's 360p or 240p or some shit.
hold up.
God
I
damn it,
gotta
Eric.
fix the settings later.
It's because he said he just downloaded the app for the first time.
Why is he using the app again?
He said that ChatGPT told him that his computer will run a lot smoother and faster if he uses the app instead of the browser for ChatGPT.
Doesn't feel like it.
I know. I think it's more of like when he's trading. Like right now, yeah, it doesn't. But like if he wants the book map and like TOS to be better off.
What the fuck? It does sound different. That's crazy.
Whoa.
Can you guys hear me better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you make more sense now too. Damn, that's crazy.
You guys see my chart?
Yeah, way better.
I forgot what I was saying though.
The 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour demands.
It helped you get rid of some.
What were you saying though?
I
When
told you
I
that
said
felony.
about this 3 hour dotted line?
I didn't get that part. You cut off.
Oh, well, I was saying that say this is a 3 hour demand zone here. Say you have a 1 hour somewhere, and then you have this 3 hour, and then you have this 90 minute down here. And now the market's coming down into this 3 hour. You're gonna be like, okay, let me mark this 3 hour as a key level when you could completely avoid marking this 3 hour as a key level and just focus on this 90 minute down here. And then if you look at structure, this 90 minute makes more sense than the 3 hour that would appear. But that's not to say that it wouldn't work either. Is someone keep going in and out?
No.
I keep hearing a ding. Um, Not to say the 3 hour won't work, but the chances of it being the kind of move we want is unlikely. For example, here, look at how the market came straight down into this 90 minute that is structurally super key. It was support here, it was resistance here, it became support here on this retest after pre market, and then it bounced. Uh, it missed the tap here and then it finally came in again. So it was a key level multiple times. And this is what drove that move that you took up here to pre-market high. This is where institutions were loading up down at the 90 minute, which gave it the momentum to fully break through yesterday's low and hit into pre-market high. So rather than taking the risk on, oh, is yesterday's low gonna work? You could just focus on taking it down here at the 90 minute where institutions are building up their position, and you could follow that whole momentum. And your move is even larger here if you do take it with the consideration that it could break above yesterday's low. And this is where you'll get that 20-point move rather than just the 10-point from yesterday's low to pre market high.
Yeah, but
And if you think of
I'm just playing. I'm just playing devil's advocate right now. I agree with you, but it sometimes it takes it takes multiple days for it to get to these key edges.
Yeah, and that's my point. We're risking throughout the week, we're risking, oh, maybe this is gonna work, maybe that's gonna work, rather
Oh
than just
yeah, yep.
waiting for that day where it hits and you're not gambling at that point. Like your chances are so much higher, your points are gonna be so much greater rather than taking 5, 10 points throughout the week.
Also, we're not supposed to trade every day.
Exactly.
You're
And
right.
that's
Yeah.
what I was realizing this whole week because I was like, fuck, it's not hitting my zones. Fuck, it's not hitting my zones. Fuck. Like the whole week, I just kept telling myself that. And then finally on Friday, I wasn't going to trade because I was so tired. And then I seen when I woke up where the market was. And I was like, oh shit, today's the day I think it's going to hit my zone. And sure enough, going into the morning, it hits 90 minute and just takes off.
But did you not have
Dude,
any
when you showed
zones?
that, go for it.
You didn't have any zones from outside of that 90 minute that were support before it hit that? Like you didn't chart any
It, I
demand zones?
I did have one in mind, but I didn't mark it because I think it was like a 15 or a 30 minute,
Mm.
and it was I think it was this one right here, and but I at this point I was already telling myself like I'm not charting those and I'm not taking those trades. I'm only gonna focus on those outer areas.
And
'Cause I'm just tired of taking these small little losses that are just bleeding my account, and it's like, why am I doing that when I could just wait and be patient for those key areas? And this week was one of those weeks where it only occurred once because of there was no news, there was no, uh heavy things that were gonna drive the market, but on days where, like, there's a lot of volatility or weeks where there's a lot of volatility, you might see it 3 times in the week or maybe all week, but it all varies because the market just moves differently every week.
that 90 minute, where did you chart it at? Where's the way?
This right here.
Oh, okay, okay. But you just highlighted it from the beginning.
Yeah, because I wanted to see, like, why is it important? And then as I remember Gabriel would get mad because I wouldn't extend my shit. So I started extending it more, and I was like, "Okay, this is why it's important." It was resistance before, it was support here, and then it played support here. So then coming into these last 2 days, I was like, "That's the only place where I'm gonna look for support." And on Friday, it worked
And
for a 20-point move.
in pre-market right there, that red candle that touched the bottom of the rectangle, would that be a sign for you to be like, all right, now I got to see what Bookmap does to see when the move is?
Exactly, and this is where order flow really is key here. Now I'm on the 15-minute, but this is where order flow that same idea that we've been talking about applies here. It's just at a key zone, so now its relevance is way more important than if it was at a 15-minute zone. Where, yeah, we see volume rising, but then it tricks us and it doesn't keep going. Here, everything that I've been saying, the CVD, the volume shift, the limit orders, it all appeared and it worked perfectly fine. There was Oh, even the 2-minute candle break. I mean, yeah, candle break of structure, that happened. It all aligned. I just didn't take it because I was like, "Am I really seeing it?" And then, after I look at the strength of this candle compared to where Gabriel took his long, he took it almost like after the move was already over, like, the move was already extended. The move had already began. Yeah, it worked because the
I was just riding the tail end of it.
exactly, we're just riding the tail end of it here. But if he would have wrote it from down here, and with that same idea in mind that it would break yesterday's low, his win would have been way bigger, and he wouldn't have even had to trade the previous days in the
And
That's
from
true.
that pre,
I
I don't
just
know
think
if
that
this
they're
is a,
ready.
is this something you see in candles, like you, or is this where Carmine says you can't make any uh what is it? You can't make any guesses at this point, like just through candles. You still have to see what happens in order flow. But I don't know if this is a random question, but with what you guys are seeing in pre-market, are you now waiting for longs?
Wait, what do you mean?
week. Yeah,
Because
what do you mean?
that green candle in pre-market that touched the pre-market low, or where pre-market low is, and it bounced
This
in.
one?
No, 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 the later one, the pre-market low, that
This
one. So like I don't know. At this point, before the market opens, are you guys anticipating longs because it's bouncing at a key demand, or you?
Honestly, I wasn't anticipating anything because I was still trying to like uh trust what I'm telling you guys here, but after I seen it happen, I was like, okay, I there's some facts to what I'm studying here. But once it did this and I had this 90-minute demand, I was like, it's either gonna take off and I just can't trade it because it's taking off, or it will do this comeback and then bounce. Like obviously we don't know what's gonna happen. So I don't want to say anticipate it, but just be ready.
I didn't have that 90 minute. Eric pointed it out, and I was bummed out that I didn't have it. That's why I missed that move. But
But
that's also why yesterday's lows and yesterday's highs are my second key levels, so I could take the remaining end of it. Because I know this is the move, but I had another opportunity at yesterday's low.
and that's just like how do I say it? Um because I was trying to figure out like, okay, for example, like with skateboarding or basketball, if if you're a beginner basketball player and you just go straight into I want to learn how to shoot a step back, that's a trick shot, right? So like you could think of every move, every trade you take as a trick. So like absorption, that's a trick. A reclaim level retest, that's a trick. So my goal is to master one trick and just become super good at that. And I feel like the trick that I see all the time just naturally is absorption at demand levels, or I mean, I'm still trying to get good at supply zones, but definitely absorption at demand zones is the trick that I want to master. So I was like asking ChatGPT, how would Kobe go about mastering his tricks basically? And it was like he never went straight into just learning how to do a step back. Like he went straight to the fundamentals. And I think absorption is one of those fundamentals for us that we need to master. And if we only focus for like the next 3 months, 2 months, however long you want, on mastering this one trick of when we see absorption, that's when you take the trade. Trading is going to become so much easier because after you master that trick, then you could start moving on to okay, I know that absorption's happening here. If I miss it, I could take this next trick that I know, the reclaim level retest, and move on to that trick once I master this one. So my goal right now is to only master absorption. Yeah, I'm gonna miss some opportunities like on Friday where Gabriel took this one and he took a winner. But when I do take these absorption moves, my points are gonna be a lot greater than just trying to trade every day throughout the week any trick that I see.
That's why we have to make all this shit simple.
And that's what I think this does. By just only focusing on the 4 hour, 2 hour, 90 minute, and 45 minute, we avoid all the other noise and just focus on that one trick that we know tends to work for the most part all the time. And then once you master it, like, yeah, move on to the fucking step back or move on to the fucking 360, but you got to master the ollie first.
You know? So if you see your setup happening at a different demand zone, you're not going to take it.
It has to be it has to be like this scenario where it's like not necessarily a 90 minute, but it has to be a 4 hour, a 2 hour, a 90 minute, or a 45 minute. Because those are my key levels, no matter what.
Mm.
And the more you chart, like even I charted everything based off of that concept and just look at how clean the structure becomes. This is a 90 minute right at the bottom of this consolidation. This is a 90 minute. It's kind of in the middle of the consolidation, but it bounced here on Monday. But I wasn't paying attention to this idea on Monday yet because the frustration didn't build till like Wednesday. Um, and then this is a 2 hour right above the consolidation, and then this is a 90 minute which aligned with this structure here. Like these zones, you can see the structure a lot clearer than when you just try to mark every time frame. And I think that still like right now it may be like I don't know, but like if next week you just focus on those time frames that I mentioned, you're gonna see that there's structure behind those time frames specifically. I think it just simplifies the pre-market plan a lot.
Yeah,
But one thing
it
I
gives
did
you.
notice was I was like zooming in so much on order flow, and that's what was fucking me up. That I think this happens to me a lot. Like I'll be like, okay, I need to work on this, and I zoom in so much on it that I forget about market context. And I was so focused on order flow, and I was like, why isn't order flow working? And it's at my levels. But then when I took a step back, I was like, oh, I'm looking at order flow at levels that may not be as important as I think they are.
Like, are you talking about the time frame you're on?
Yeah, exactly. Or
What
just
were
the
you looking
structure
at?
in general. Like I was looking at like I'd find a 3 hour, for example, or I'd find a like what was my last loss that I took? Uh Damn, I don't have the time. Oh, let me see my other journal. Took a reclaim level retest at yesterday's high, and I was focused on order flow so much, but yesterday's high wasn't necessarily a key level that I should have been paying attention to because it wasn't built off of the structure. It was just like yesterday's high.
Mm,
And so this,
Whereas if, like for example, this yesterday's low, if you took it knowing that we're bouncing off a key structure level, this 90 minute, with the idea that okay, institutions loaded up at 90 minute, and then when it came to yesterday's low, institutions loaded up at 90 minute. Now I could enter here, but it's gonna be a little choppy because the move started a while ago.
yeah.
That you're approaching the market with like a whole different mind state there.
mm,
What were
Like
the
the chances of it hitting 2 hour is a lot slimmer. Pre-market high may take some struggle because the move has already is a kind of extended already.
so you don't chart the 15 either?
Mm-mm. One thing though I will say is I keep it in the back of my mind that it's there because where was it? There was a day that Eloy took I think it was this one. This is a 15 minute. Eloy had taken a short here and it was coming down and I was like, damn, there's a 15 minute here. It's probably gonna bounce. And I had even told him that there was a 15 minute there that I don't think he charted, but I didn't chart it. I just had it in the back of my mind and it did bounce. It did actually bounce pretty heavy. And I asked ChatGPT, like, you told me not to mark 15-minute demand zones, but this one clearly worked. And it was like, yeah, it worked this time, but the probabilities of it working multiple times is not as high as if you wait for this 90 minute. This 90 minute has a higher chance over a span of months to work rather than focusing on these 15 minutes.
Well, what it could have been was yesterday's low.
That too, yeah, it aligned 15 minute with the yesterday. Oh wait, no, this is at yesterday's lows from another day. Yesterday's low was down here,
Oh, okay.
and yesterday's high was up here.
Oh, that's right.
But it
Direct.
said this here is an outlier situation that did work, and it may work again in the future. But you're not putting probabilities in your favor by focusing just on this 15 minute. But this week, I was like I said, I was like, damn, these zones aren't hitting. Like, what the fuck? And then, sure enough, on Friday, it hit clean. And then, if you see,
So you don't even look at the 30, the 1 hour, anything? The 3 hour?
like, I look at it just to see like, is there something that really is sticking out? Like, let's go to it right now. There's not really anything there. I mean, like this 1 hour here that was formed in pre-market, you could almost look at it as a target rather than looking at it as an area where you're gonna take a trade. So say I got long here at 90-minute demand, knowing I wouldn't even mark it, but I'll keep it in the back of my head that around 6302 to pre-market high, there's a 1 hour supply zone. And then that allows me to kind of ride this momentum into this zone. And then here paying attention to like what's order flow telling me.
You
But it's
think
not a zone that I'm gonna be trading.
you think you're gonna have larger targets, knowing you're hitting a very like an institutional zone?
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
But like, are you guys gonna like start adapt? What's the word? Like adjusting your targets, or are you still gonna start off to find like a 10 pointer?
No,
I'll
I'm
probably
looking for that 100 point. I'm looking for that $100 trade, man.
I'll probably still focus on like the watching the 10-point move, but like in this situation, uh,
So then there's nothing
I don't know.
stopping.
It's tough because I'm still adapting to reading this like this. But I would want to say yeah, I want to hold it to pre-market high, but you know how emotions get when you're in a trade.
Especially going through that red candle.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you
You'd
caught
be
it,
So I think over time I'll start to like see it better, but right now definitely like I'm still moving with caution.
all right.
Well, I'm in demo right now, so like I'm kind of on a little bit.
you're doing the whole month.
I don't know. Yeah,
Sweet.
but it I feel like just this week of demo allowed me to kind of take a step back because I wasn't focused on like I want to make money. I was just like I want to fucking figure this shit out for reals.
Yeah. Dude, I thought you were gonna quit this week, man.
I bro, like my eyes got teary because of how bad I was feeling.
Yeah, dude, it fucking sucks.
That shit
Damn.
was horrible. That's why like I was just like, okay, take a step back and see what I'm not seeing. This is how Carmine approaches it because there'll be like we said, there's times where he doesn't have his zone marked and he takes it. And I think it's that where like he knows what his key structural levels are where institutions are loading up. And then he takes his moves based off that. But I'm not good enough to be taking those trades yet. So why am I even trying?
So we're like, he probably took the bottom of that red candle, huh, on the LVN. There was like probably an LVN right there.
It's 62.90.
I'm saying like, if he already missed the initial move, but he knew it did, like his thesis must have been correct if it took off at the 90, because then that would have been the institutional move. And then he's like, all right, well, I know it's on its way up, so now let me try to find a good like retest or reclaim. Is it a reclaim?
Yeah,
Yes.
that is how he approaches those levels where he doesn't take the zones. I mean where he doesn't mark the zones, but yeah, I don't think I even deserve to be taking those trades yet because I haven't even mastered these key level areas. But the thing that does suck is that you're gonna have to sit out taking a trade for most of the week, and you might only take 2 trades a week, maybe 3, 1.
Dude, and
But
if it finally gets to your zone and you lose that trade,
yeah, like there's gonna be some frustration in adapting to that. But I think at the end of the week, we're gonna be profitable more than we are right now.
yeah, for sure.
Because one, we're not putting as much risk every day on the market, and then two, over time, you're gonna have like natural instinct for these areas more than a
Yeah,
15 minute or a 30-minute demand.
I was gonna say, once it gets to these key demand zones, key supply zones, order flow is so much easier to read.
Yep, that's what I was gonna show my chart for my order flow for that day. What was the date? 11th.
Yes, sir. It was the 11th.
So here, this is like on a zoomed out. This is zoomed out here. This is the 90-minute that I had marked. And you could clearly see here aggressive selling coming into demand. And then the shift slowly, shift kind of started happening here. But then this is the one I marked up. So this is the aggressive selling coming in, large bubbles here, hitting the sell, and then it bounces once, limit orders stacked up there, came down again, limit orders stacked up again, and at this point, CBD was just consolidating. And I even wrote it down as it was happening because I was like, I'm not gonna trade, but I'm gonna just write what I'm thinking as it's coming down. And I wrote, watching for higher high on the 2 minute candle. Then I seen this happening. I was like CBD consolidating, and then I even put right when uh, when this green candle wicked above this what is this, a doji candle, I guess. When this green candle wicked above, the selling structure started to break to the upside. So what time was this at? It's not gonna tell me. But right when that happened, I wrote 2 minute wicked higher, a higher high. But I wasn't sure if I had to wait for the candle to close as a higher high or if a wick forming a higher high was enough. And ChatGPT said if you're waiting for the candle to close, you're waiting for perfection, and that's not what we're looking for. You just want to see that the structure is now breaking to the upside with the confirmations aligning here. So you can see. Let me see. I'm gonna just calculate it right now. This is the 2 minute.
So you should
Yeah.
just take it once you see it instead of waiting for the pullback.
Hold up. 2, 4, 6. Oh
It's
shit.
710,
30.
710, 710.
How do you know that?
Because I did it right after you said
Seven's
it.
over here.
Huh?
Seven's over here.
30. It starts at the green,
30.
right?
This is a 2 minute. 30, 32,
Oh, I thought it was 5 minute. Never mind.
34, 36. Oh shit, I fucked up. 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46. So at 46 it occurred. And over here, so on this buying that occurred here, or like right here is where it formed. I guess it was this that formed the higher high. And then so boom. Okay, this is what how it happened. The aggressive selling stepped in here. We're at my 90-minute demand. Limit orders appeared. CBD started consolidating, and I think while CBD was consolidating is when I seen the green candle wick as a higher high here. And now I'm not just taking it because it wicked as a higher high. I still want to see that buying shift start to come in. But the fact that it did form a higher high, as this buying shift starts to happen here, I can start to have trust in the setup. You can either take it on this pop or right here around 62.81 with the stop under 76 or 77. That's what's that? 77, 78, 79, 80, 81. 4 to 5 point stop for a 20 point move if you are targeting those pre-market highs or high a day. What was high a day? 62.98. That's still a 10 point move right there. So even though it does a higher high on the 2 minute candle here, that's not just because that happened. I'm not entering. I still want my confirmations and order flow to be there. But
Just
that happening just adds a layer of confidence.
Yeah, I just hate that it's so easy to see right now.
Yeah, I feel that. But like you said, because it's at a key zone, it's now like the importance of order flow just is a layer is another like it's just more important rather than if it was happening at a 30-minute demand or like a 15-minute demand. Like we're seeing everything, but the chances of it working are slimmer than if it were at this 90-minute demand.
All right, let's delete the 15, 1 hour, and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You still chart the 45, you said?
Yeah, because the structure is still visible there if you see here. See how like you can still see the consolidation pretty clearly here? It's the reason that we are using these zones specifically is based on because of the way structure looks.
Yeah,
It just
I know
looks
what you yeah, I know what you're talking about. But you said the 45 minute? Why would the 45 minute be clean? It seems like a random number.
I know it does. I didn't ask why that one specifically. I mean, I have the conversation here if you want me to go over it.
Who's this Yoko Ono you're talking to, bro? Just feeding you all this shit in your head. She could be lying.
It could be, but we don't fuck around,
It's like
dog.
this is what she told
Be
me.
for
I'm
real.
just going by what she said.
Damn, this shit is so much work, man. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I feel good, bro. I quit too
Mhm.
many big things in my life where I'm like, I can't quit this. And then so far, it hasn't even been as challenging as the other shit that I quit. Well, emotionally, where I quit just emotionally.
Mm,
I think my emotions have
that's
been
also
tested before. That's what I'm saying.
uh, it's just I got into this because I thought it was gonna be easy.
Damn, you thought that? I never once thought.
Well, I knew it was gonna be some work, but I didn't think it was gonna be this fucking hard.
I don't know why. It's exciting to me though. Like it's still like a game that I'm like. As soon as every time we learn something new, like right now, the new charting system we're doing because I've been doing it since Eric brought it up, and I'm not saying I figured the new thing out, but it is like seeing something differently, and it makes more sense to me. And so every time I learn something new, I'm like, oh, this shit is it is gonna happen. It's just we gotta because like we gotta think about like when we first thought the outlier was an important lesson and how far removed we are from that. But I remember when I thought that was gonna work, that gave me hope to believe in this.
Yeah. Well, you're playing like I guess our new technique now is playing the edges of the consolidation. So like this 90 minute and this 2 hour that's right there are the edges of it. So those would be the keys. Those would be the ones you would be waiting days for price to hit. Because once price breaks below that 90 minute, it just broke market structure. So now you go to the next top of the consolidation, which is this 2 hour. And then you wait for that to hit and stuff like that. Instead of having like random levels in between the 90 minute and the 2 hour, you wait for those actual extremes of the consolidations. It allows you to see the market in a clearer way rather than having all this noise in the middle of it. I think that's what
You're basically saying what ChatGPT said too.
oh shit, just call me ChatGPT.
Chat.
um, but like you see, it does right here. It says, "I'll just." So the idea is absorption setup, and then it made me like a sniper playbook just for absorption only. Absorption at major demand or supply level signals exhaustion of one side at the quiet takeover of control by the other. The goal: enter after passive participants absorb aggression and before price expansion confirms the shift. No setup, no trade. One shot, one kill precision over frequency. Discipline over dopamine. You don't trade to feel good, you trade to execute the edge, and the edge is the absorption. You hunt and we do not chase. Higher
Hey,
time frame to
we need a post that you don't trade to feel good, you trade to execute edge on the Discord or some shit like a banner or something.
pin that shit. I think we
Then that
could pin
shit.
it.
There's something.
I'll do it right now.
I need to
Um,
read that.
Setup location requirements must occur at one of the following: higher time frame demand or supply zones, 45-minute, 90-minute, 2 hour, and 4 hour, the exact ones I said. A low SVP node, previous day's high, low, pre-market range, break retest, 1000 lot iceberg zone. I don't really even know what that is. I don't think we could see icebergs because we don't have, that's like a add-on on bookmap. Uh, Reject trades in the middle of the range, only hunt at the edge. And that's another thing I asked it, like, how would you compare trading to being like a sniper shooter? And it mentioned how like sniper shooters wait like hours and hours and hours until they finally have a clear shot and like the wind is perfect and they're the people who like tell them when to shoot are confirming their shot, but they have to wait hours for that to happen. And it was like that's how you have to approach trading. It may not be hours because we for us it's days within the week.
See what you're saying. That's fucking sick, dude.
So like
That's
we're
so
really
crazy.
hunting. We're hunting for our prey, and our prey is that absorption happening at with the order flow aligning.
And we're sniping
Um,
for the
but
best risk also because
Yep.
a sniper's quote from a movie was "aim small, miss small; aim big, miss big." I don't even know if that applies, but it sounds
And,
cool.
and that shit too.
dude, you almost made me spit my coffee out. Um, But this is the same, and the same thing applies at that key level. Aggressive selling into the zone, large red bubbles. I'm gonna just refer to the demand zone. Large red bubbles on bookmap, clear market order aggression hitting passive liquidity. That's the limit orders. Price falling, failing to break lower despite the aggression. Limit orders absorbing aggression. So sizes holding the line at demand. Resting liquidity doesn't pull, it doesn't disappear. Popping in place, uh, buyers willing to get filled over and over. CVD makes a higher low. Even while price pushes, CVD holds, showing the divergence. Best case, CVD flips direction with price shift. Delta volume shift, this is the volume on the book map. Net delta starts to build in the opposite direction. First big volume cluster on reversal candle. That's everything we've gone over. It's the same idea, just that it's at a key zone.
Ooh, it's trying to get us to V shape or what? How's that?
What?
The V shape ignition? Is that at the start of a V?
It breaks that down more because I was like trying. I asked it more about the V shape later because I also was like, why are you mentioning V shape?
Uh, because if we catch
Aggressive
that,
entry. What?
because if we catch one of those,
Yeah, that I was also wondering if this here would be considered a V shape almost. Well, not really because it wasn't falling that. I mean,
I only see V shapes on bookmap.
oh, I get what you're saying. Where'd it go? And then entry triggers, aggressive entry would be an entry on strong pop off the zone, big green bubble, fast reversal, place stop below the absorption base, use only when absorption and CVD align with violence.
The fuck?
Whereas the sniper entry would be wait for a 2 to 3 minute higher high if you're long. Price reclaims microstructure, then pulls back. Limit orders defend again. Enter on the second push off retest. So that would be like what I was explaining here. So if you entered here,
Mm.
I waited for the 2 minute to break, and then structure showed me on the pullback that volume shift came in again aggressively, stronger. Whereas if you got in here, this is more of a higher risk, better reward, but you have the chances of it failing this if it doesn't break above 90-minute demand here.
Uh,
So there's two ways you can approach this. You can approach it with aggressively entering on here, or you could approach it how it refers to sniper, where like you're more cautious and you're waiting for that clearer sign.
Yeah.
And then target strategy, uh, local imbalance, prior failed structure. I don't really fully understand that. VWAP, pre-market high low, LVN above, high a day, low a day. Usually what we talk about there. Adjust target if market shows fading momentum, CVD divergence, limit walls appearing. That's a big one. Limit walls appearing. Invalidation conditions, no clear demand supply zone, no aggressive selling into the level, absorption looks weak, size starts to pull, like disappear, and price not holding, CVD not aligning, dropping during reversal, price stalls, no expansion, no follow through. This is all things we've gone over.
Wait, no aggressive into the
But
level?
then
Yeah, that was weird.
It needs to be
if it's
it
not
needs to,
aggressively selling into your demand zone, what?
no, go ahead, explain it.
If it's not aggressively selling into your demand zone, it's not ready yet. And you need to see you need to see this large spike of selling come in because that's showing us that sellers are trying to push lower, but they just can't.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay, okay.
if that's not occurring, the move isn't ready to happen yet. That's why sometimes you'll get that stop hunt because if it'll like look like sellers are trying, but that aggressive, you want that aggressive push to really confirm that sellers are not able to break through.
So if it's just casually going inside, then it might not be.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
still trying to set itself up until you see that aggressive push down where like there's a sweep or like you see aggressive like large aggressive multiple large aggressive sellers hitting the bid here. Then that's when like okay, sellers are really trying and they're struggling. But if
Mm,
it's just like this kind of selling here and it's just like chilling, that it's not ready yet. You're most likely gonna get a stop hunt. I only shoot at the extremes. I only enter when aggression fails. I only commit when the map confirms the trap. Anything else is bait. And that's that stop hunt
dude,
idea.
pin that shit. You got too many to pin already.
And then look at here, 1 to 2 trades per week, not per day. That
Yeah.
that's the that's the discipline aspect of this what we're doing here. High high precision, high conviction. Pin that shit.
No, no. Remember you were taking 9 a day?
Damn.
Oh, I do remember that. I think about it a lot actually. You're not reacting to every bounce, micro reclaim, or fake setup. You're waiting for the big trap, the real absorption, and the reclaim with size behind it. That reclaim with size meaning that institutional move. You protect mental capital, less exposure equals less fatigue. You're no longer drained by should I take this 20 times a day. You let volume and structure align. Rate absorption setups take time to form. You're waiting for higher time frame levels, aggression into it, buyer defense or seller defense, a reclaim, then the shift. That process rarely aligns perfectly more than 1 to 2 times per week. And
Yeah.
then it kind of gives like a way you could view the week. Monday, Tuesday, observe the context, identify your key demand supply levels, wait, no trade unless setup is flawless. Wednesday, Thursday, market usually expands, high probability of one true absorption reversal. Fridays take trade only if structure and context are perfect. Avoid chasing a need to end the week strong.
Damn. I'm jealous of your conversations with chat, bro.
I
Oh, we
know,
go
dude.
deep.
Look at that shit. They're gonna start making you pay.
Bruh.
They're gonna start selling my setup to people. Watch.
I know, right?
Oh, right here. So which time frames do produce real demand supply? 15 to 30 minute, no. They're too noisy. Local intraday action, fake reversals. 1 to 3 hour, rarely. See, so it's not that it doesn't happen, it's just rarely that it happens. Only if it overlaps with the 4 hour or creates massive imbalance. 45 minute to 90 minute, yes. Often reversals, often reveals hidden, clean structure, not visible on 1 hour or 4 hour. 2 to 4 hour, yes. Core higher time frame zones used by major participants. Daily institutional anchor points, swing position zones. 45 minute and 90 minute are the Goldilocks timeframes you've been drawing from. They strike a perfect balance between clarity and significance.
Yeah, that all makes so much sense.
Would institutions build or defend size here? 45 minute, 90 minute, 2 hour, 4 hour, yes. 1 hour, 3 hour, usually not. This is why we exclude 1 hour, 3 hour by default in sniper mode to keep you from over marking zones that'll burn you. If the level doesn't show up on the 45 minute, 90 minute, 2 hour, or 4 hour with clean structure, it doesn't exist.
You already know what I'm gonna say.
I
They're getting some good quotes, man. Like, I need to remind them.
know. Uh, And then I asked it with these 45 minute, 90 minute, 2 hour, 4 hour zones only, is it still likely to see 1 to 2 trades a week still? Yes, absolutely. Even using only 45 minute, 90 minute, 2 hour, and 4 hour demand zones, you'll still likely get 1 to 2 high quality absorption setups per week. Sometimes more, sometimes less. The rhythm holds. It's that shit right there.
Yeah.
And then another way to look at the week, Monday, market defined structure often just builds the range. And this isn't like definite. This is like just for the most part. Uh Monday, market defined structure. Tuesday, first true higher time frame zone, often tested, possible A plus setup. Wednesday, highest probability day, volatility plus retest. Thursday, continuation or second test of a same zone, trap setup. Friday, lower quality unless key higher time frame levels are tested before close. And I believe this because Ian always says he doesn't like to trade on Mondays or Fridays, and this basically says why. They do occur on Mondays and Fridays, but higher chances are in the middle of the week.
Uh,
Like
yeah.
last week, Friday, we did have one, but it's also because the whole beginning of the week there was nothing.
Yeah.
So out of 5 days, you'll usually get one clean higher time frame bounce or fade, occasionally two if both demand and supply get touched. Other days, sit, observe, prep, and log. Average 4 to 8 setups per month. Win rate 60 to 75%. RR 3R with proper targets. Risk 1R max per shot. So at 1 to 2 trades a week, even a 50% hit rate keeps you break even and profitable with huge upside as your execution refines.
Yeah, this guy's smart.
I'm gonna end this video because
And
it's
then
like
this is
over an hour.
what?
I'm gonna end this video real quick. It's like over an hour.
For sure.